Alright, so let's take a look at these solutions. Dylan is trying to find the total amount of words that he's learned, and he has 100 spelling words, and that's convenient because we know our hundreds grid, so you could look at each one of these blocks as one of his spelling words that he's learned. So let me erase that before we start using it. So he said he'd learned 4/10 of the words last week. So if we were going to show this on here, we would show that's 1/10 or 10 hundredths, 2/10 or 20 hundredths, 3/10 or 30 hundredths, and 4/10 or 40 hundredths. So that's what he learned last week. If we look at what he learned this week, he learned 20 hundredths. So that's 10 hundredths and 20 hundredths, or we could call it 2/10. So now we're looking at our model here. What we're doing is we're able to get a clearer picture. So we see right now that what I have shaded is either, we could call this 60 hundredths or 6/10. So either one of those could be the answer. So, well, certainly A is not, B doesn't match that, so I don't see 60 hundredths or 6/10 yet. So we look and they expressed it in tenths instead of hundredths. They could have just as well done and expressed it in either one of these. Okay, so let's see what they did if we look at the numbers. So if we look at 4/10 plus 20 hundredths, we could have done this two ways. Okay. We could have changed our tenths to hundredths, so 4/10 would be worth 40 hundredths, and then of course we'd keep our other hundredths, which is 20 hundredths, and we would have gotten 60 hundredths. And then if we look down here and we didn't see 60 hundredths, we shouldn't assume we're wrong. We should look for an equivalent, and we should know that 60 hundredths is equal to 6/10. Or they could have taken the same problem and said instead of 20 hundredths, we could have used 2/10. So we know that 4/10 plus 2/10 is equal to 6/10. Either way, we still should have come up with and figured out that it was 6/10. Alright, so very similar problem. Which equation is true? So we see that we have 3 100ths, and if we think about 3 hundredths, that's not very much at all. That's only 3 of these. Okay, but we're adding 8/10. Now 8/10 is quite a bit more. So 8/10 is more than half. Actually, and it's only 2/10 away. So since that we don't have a multiple of 10 for our numerator for the hundredths, 8/10 we can say is how many hundredths? Well, that's easy enough. So for every tenth, that's 10. So 8 times 10, so that's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. So now we can see we have 80, so 8/10 is equal to 80 hundredths. So 80 hundredths plus 3 hundredths, I have 83 hundredths. So which is C. Let's see if that's reasonable. We knew that 8/10 was more than half, and that 3 hundredths was just a little bit more. So our answer makes sense. Let's see how about the others. Well, 11/110 doesn't make sense because it's less than half. 38 hundredths is less than half. And we know that what we had wasn't more than a whole, so 11/10 doesn't make sense. Okay, another one where we are writing equivalent fractions for tenths and hundredths to combine them. So how far did you write in all? So this would be 5/10 plus 22 hundredths. Okay. And again, a common mistake is to add 5 plus 22 is 27 and add our denominators. And this is, A would be a typical. See, that's number 1. That is incorrect because our parts are not the same size. So again, let's model so we can see what these amounts are. So 5/10, of course, that's 1/2. So that every tenth is 10 hundredths. So there's 5/10. So we know that A can't be it because just by itself 5/10 is more than A. And then we're going to add 22 hundredths. Okay, so that's 10, 22. Okay, 22 hundredths. So we have a lot more than half. So we can count what we have here, and let's count since our hundredths are not in a multiple of 10 there. So let's switch 5/10 to hundredths. So we know that 5/10 is 50 hundredths because we know it's 1/2. And we know that we would keep 22 hundredths just the same. Which is equal to 72 hundredths, which is C. What is the sum of 2/10 and 100? 1/100th? Well, we know 2/10 is less than half, and we certainly know 1/100th is just one of these. So whatever our answer in has to be less than half. And has to be less than 3/10 because 2/10 plus 10 hundredths would be 3/10. So let's take a look and let's change 2/10 into hundredths. So 2/10, 1/10, oh, excuse me, 2/10 is equal to 20 hundredths. Well, we take 20 hundredths and put one more hundred with it, we would get 21 hundredths. Again, try to visualize those amounts on the grid. Ramona had $100. She spent 60 hundredths, which is more than half. 60 hundredths, and I'm putting 3/10 with it. All right, so I can do this either way because I know that 60 hundredths is equal to 6/10. So I'm going to do it like this. And I'm going to keep 3/10. So now tenths and tenths. So this would equal 9/10, or that's if we're writing as a decimal, 9/10. Right? If you had converted the tenths to hundredths, you would have gotten 90 hundredths, and 90 hundredths is equal to 9/10 also. I'm going to go through these. Make sure you model if you got any of these wrong. 1/10 plus 23 hundredths. 1/10 is 10 hundredths, so 10 hundredths plus 23 hundredths is 33 hundredths. 23 hundredths plus 1/10 is the same exact thing, 33 hundredths. 2/10 plus 3 hundredths, well, 2/10 is 20 hundredths plus 3 hundredths, which is 23 hundredths. 4 hundredths plus 3/10, I know that 3/10 is 30 hundredths, and 30 hundredths plus 4 hundredths is 34 hundredths. This one, they've given you all hundredths, 26 hundredths, and they want you to separate it into tenths and hundredths. Well, they already given us the hundredths, and I would make 2/10. Which fraction and decimal are equivalent? Well, 4/10 is not equal to 4 hundredths. 6 hundredths is not equal to 6/10. 9 hundredths is equal to 9 hundredths. So there's our equivalent. This is a common mistake here. 7/10 is not equal to 7 and 10 hundredths. A sign on the highway says an exit is 3/10 of a mile ahead. What is the decimal form of 3/10? The decimal form for 3/10 is this. Again, be careful. This is a mistake. This is a common mistake. Beware of this. Just because it has 3 and 10 doesn't equal. This means 3 wholes. That's 3 and 10 hundredths. This is not even a whole. What is 75 hundredths written as a fraction? It would be C, 75 hundredths. Not 0.75 hundredths, 75 hundredths. She got 85 out of 100 correct. So that's 85 hundredths. If we wrote that as a decimal, we could write it as 0.85. Again, 85 hundredths, that's a 10, so that's 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, and 5 hundredths more. On this one, there are multiple answers, so I'm not going to do all of them, but as an example, you had to be between 20 cents and 50 cents with 5 coins. If I had 5 nickels, which is 5 hundredths of a dollar, this is a nickel. If I had 5 of them, I would have 25 hundredths of a dollar, or 25 cents, and that is between 20 cents and 50 cents. Which of the following statements is true? A is true. Why? Because 5 tenths is less than 6 tenths. Because 5 tenths is a half and 6 tenths is more. 5 tenths is less than 6 tenths. If we go through the others, 25 hundredths is not greater than 3 tenths because 3 tenths is equal to 30 hundredths. 89 hundredths is certainly not more than a whole. And 6 hundredths is not more than 6 tenths. Which change will make this statement true? If we were to add a 0 to the tenths place to change 0.5 or 5 tenths to 5 hundredths, and 5 hundredths would be less than 43 hundredths. Which of the following decimals is greater than 7 hundredths but less than 3 tenths? So we need to go anywhere between 7 hundredths and 3 tenths. Well, 2 hundredths is less than 7 hundredths, and it has to be greater. 34 hundredths is more than 3 tenths because 3 tenths is equal to 30 hundredths. 31 hundredths is more than 31 hundredths, is more than 3 tenths, which is 30 hundredths. So the only one that works is 27 hundredths because it's less than 30 hundredths or 3 tenths and more than 7 hundredths. Which decimal is less than 75 hundredths? Well, certainly 80 hundredths isn't. Certainly 94 hundredths isn't. Certainly 9 tenths or 90 hundredths. So the only one that is less is 7 tenths because this is equal to, should be automatic now, 70 hundredths. Two numbers, as long as they're between the numbers between 4 tenths and 45 hundredths, that would be, because this is 40 hundredths, so 4 tenths is 40 hundredths. So we've got 41 hundredths, 42 hundredths, and so forth, 43 hundredths, and keep going. Troy said that 9 tenths is greater than 90 hundredths because tenths are greater than hundredths. Keith said that 9 tenths was less than 90 hundredths because 90 is greater than 9. How would you compare? Well, you should be automatic. They are equal because 9 tenths is equal to 90 hundredths. You can see that on the grid. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 tenths is equal to 90 hundredths. All right. Well, this concludes our solutions. Good luck. Study hard. You'll do great.